gun safety and school safety. So I had heard this is being done in conjunction with legislator Davidson and legislator Stilley, and the Rockland County DA's office. So it should be a really good event, and I would encourage anyone to go who's concerned about school safety. Andy, I'll send you the information if you want to throw it up on our Facebook page and stuff. That's it.
Okay,
I get a quick,
yes, hello.
I just want to tell everybody that there's been still a lot of complaints about the intersection of High Avenue and 9W pedestrian crossings. Just want to let you know that I reached out to Pat Carroll, who immediately got his assistant to call back, and he's going to be requesting from the DOT a site survey and traffic study. And I just want to commend Pat Carroll for the responsiveness. I mean, within half an hour, they called me back.
Thank you, Joe. Anything else? All right, we're gonna skip ahead to some action items, just as a point of privilege to go to some people who are here for just those items, and we'll allow them to not sit through the audited voucher summary and the adoption minutes and all the other things that we're doing. So let me skip to 7.4. 7.4, resolution 2025-23. Resolution of the Nyack Village Board of Trustees to appoint Kyle Comba to the position of village treasurer. Can I get that on the table?
That's who he is.
Motion, second.
All right, this is, you want to talk a little bit about Kyle? And make sure I pronounced his name correctly. I did not.
Coimbra.
Coimbra.
No,
Coimbra.
no, say it again.
Coimbra.
Queenborough?
Queenborough.
Yes. Queenborough.
You say it loud. I'll trust you. I don't trust her.
Queenborough.
You say it with an R though. There's an
It's
R.
wrong.
Is there an R?
Yes.
There's an R in the name? So it's misspelled in the resolution.
I mean, in case you.
I will accept blame for the things that I get wrong, but the name is misspelled in the resolution, so let's get it misspelled in the title. So let's correct the title of the resolution. And then it's correct in the actual resolution.
Also the
So
body of it.
the body of the resolution is correct.
I
No, this
accept
is not.
responsibility for the typo in the resolution.
And it's number.
And most importantly, I welcome Kyle, his mom and his fiance who joined us tonight. A very important day for the village, which is the start of Kyle's tenure with Village of Nyack as our new village treasurer. We're excited to have you on board. Looking forward to shoveling a whole ton of work onto your desk, watching you struggle through it and try to figure out how it works. But we're very confident that you've got the talent and the drive to help us out. So thanks so much.
He's a little aggressive.
And it's in his, and explain why it's in his DNA, this kind of municipal treasurer work. It's in the DNA, it's built in.
The apple does not fall far from the tree, which in this case is mom, who's worked for like 17 years as a village municipal finance expert up in village of Harriman, right? So there's sort of knowledge base there as well, which we appreciate.
Any comments or questions? I had a chance to sit with Kyle. I'm not gonna pronounce his last name, just Kyle. We're on a first name basis now, Kyle. Sit with him, really a smart and interesting young man who, and I get to say that now, I'm old enough to call people in their 20s young men. This is quite a moment for me to get to this point. He's a remarkable young man. He's got a great background in audit. He's got a great background in accounting. He brings a lot to our to the department and to our office, and I'm looking forward to seeing him every day, you know, walking around in the village hall. He's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's unfortunate he has to change his name to conform to the resolution. But besides that, it's a welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Anybody else?
Welcome.
All right, all in favor of the resolution appointing Kyle to the position of village treasurer?
I,
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Kyle. Action item 7.6, resolution 25-25, resolution of the village board to appoint Dudley La Granada. Did I get that close? Close enough. It's gonna be a long night. It's a position of parking enforcement aide. Can I get on the table?
Motion.
Second.
Comments, Andy?
Well, first of all, Dudley has worked for us part-time for the better part of a year or two. He's done a great job. He's worked with Matt and Joe, who are our rating experts on parking enforcement. They have a lot of work to do. They do a complex job that involves a lot of public sort of interfacing and being people when they're in sort of distressed situations, getting tickets, sometimes getting their cars towed. They do this job with grace and dignity and professionalism. And I'm thankful for that because it keeps our village moving along. And we're very proud of the work that they do. And we're super happy to be able to bring you on full-time Dudley to join this team. 40 hours a week, which we make great use of that time. Little known fact, all three of these guys are students of jujitsu. And they're very, very good at it.
Be forewarned, citizens of Nyack.
It is a defensive martial art. But it's really kind of cool, and they all bring the kind of training and how to handle conflict and conduct themselves well. In situations that they encounter. So thank you guys so much for your.
Yeah, I just want to take the opportunity just to commend the department because I know how hard you work and I know how difficult it can sometimes be and you handle yourselves with professionalism and grace in a lot of difficult circumstances and we're very grateful. No one likes getting a ticket, no one likes paying for parking. But unless you did what you did, there would never be a free parking space because people would just squat in those spaces all day long. So the enforcement of those rules is a really important part of what keeps the parking motility going and keeps the downtown bustling. So we're very appreciative of the work that you do and you do extraordinary work. So thank you. Thank you both.
And notwithstanding what you read on social media.
Nah, don't
We
listen to them.
all support you guys.
We do. We do. My favorite is the people who complain and in the body of their complaint is a confession. I only went in for 5 minutes, but then when yeah, you're guilty, that's guilty right there. I stayed a little bit longer than I paid for. Oh, you're guilty. That's how that works. So those complaints, I stand with you 100% when people come to me and invariably when they send me a ticket and they send me they paid something wrong, they put the wrong license plate in, they almost always made a mistake on their own. So you do wonderful work, so thank you. Anybody else?
And also, thank you, Rosa, for taking care of the tickets, taking care of the people, complaints, and watching over these guys. Thank you.
I'm really proud of that.
Anything else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for all of you for your service.
You guys, you don't have to stay.
Yeah, you don't have to stay. But we are going now to, we'll go to public comment. Do we have the list, Linda?
No one.
No one signed up? Does anybody want to jump in for public comment now? Sure, come on, just state your name and where you live. And we have a lefty. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Nice seeing you all.
Bye, Kyle.
Queen Rock.
Queen Bra.
Green bra.
I just want to point out that
It's like if
Andy
you
did
met,
not give a
if you were
fun
in
fact
England
for
and you
Kyle.
met royalty and someone
No
asked you,
fun
and your
fact
buddies
for
asked you,
Kyle.
who'd you meet? I said, I met the Queen Bra.
You should.
His mom.
Oh, okay,
Right?
no, fair enough.
Is that the way you remember?
Hey, you're wrong.
Viral.
Hear this? You're anxious.
You, yeah.
Now we're.
Do you want to start them over so that
Yeah.
he actually has it here 2 minutes?
Oh, yeah, give him his full 2.
Testing.
Perfect.
Hi there.
Hello,
Please state your name and where you live.
my name is Eric Johnson, I live at 35 Marion. Corner of Marion and Third. I have a name.
Here's my name.
Oh,
I'm here to slightly complain about my sidewalk. My sidewalk on Third,
Hold the mic like this, toward
Okay.
facing
There
it.
you go.
my sidewalk on Third, was ran over by the DPW back on Sandy Day. The sidewalk, told you I was done talking. The sidewalk is about an inch thick. They started at my fence, my side fence, the gate, ran all the way down to my driveway. It has yet to be repaired. I did put in a claim back in 2013. Town attorney Lynn Wally said that you guys were, not you all, the people who were there at the time, we're talking about fixing it. It's a little bit more than just fixing it. It also happens to be one of the only sidewalks that I know that still have a slate curb. Slate curb is between 2 and 1 inch high. So I'm kind of asking, I don't know where to go with it. I assume that the board knew it was gonna get repaired. I don't know why it didn't. It was my first time ever coming to ask about it. I do have a second, if I may. There was a sign for the parking in front of my house. That got removed. Because of the corner I live on, there's 2 one-way streets. Heading north, south on Marion and heading east on Third. The Montessori school in the morning generally causes accidents. And I had somebody drive through my fence.
What's your, what corner are you on?
He's
Which
the
corner?
corner of Marion and Third.
And the corner
Yeah, I'm looking at
of
the corner right now. I just have it up.
I'm in
on
the
the
yellow
screen.
house.
You're in the
Look at
yellow house.
Google?
Okay, so you're at the, no, you're at the,
Google?
yeah, I'm on Google right now.
Yeah,
You're the one on the southeast corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the corner, the sidewalk you're talking about is
is along Third.
along there. Yeah, I can see it looks very cracked up. Okay.
Joe. So before somebody drove through the fence, there was a sign in front of my house right there. And that was. I don't know what it was, I do have the report on.
You said it was a no parking sign or was it
It was
parking no sign?
it was one of the.
So alternate
3
side,
days,
alternate
Alternate side.
Yeah, the alternate side street parking, yes. And that disappeared and never returned. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Yeah.
that sidewalk is on our list for our sidewalk replacement project. With the funding that's been committed by the county. So. We're gonna walk that together. We're gonna look at the drainage issues, which I know we also have.
Yeah,
We're gonna try to make sure the new sidewalk meets your needs.
okay, the drainage issue is kind of bigger than the whole thing.
No, just so you know, like, this is something that's gonna get engineered by the village engineer. We
Yeah.
don't need to go into an in-depth description of it or discussion of it tonight,
Okay.
because it's on our list to re-engineer the sidewalk by your house.
Will I be involved?
Yes, I'm inviting you to that conversation.
Okay.
I need your cell number and email address.
Sim, I need that, I need that.
Straight up that one.
Okay. Oh,
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a beautiful home. I'm looking at it right now I'm actually looking at the 2007 version of the house. Now I'm up to 2021. All right, we've been best for public comment. All right, we'll have another opportunity for public comment later in the meeting. For now, let's go on. I know he's waiting. Let's get Tomas Schneck up here to give a presentation on the Nyack Tourism Grass. You see one month, you want to switch?
Okay. My name is Thomas Schneck, president of the Visit Nyack, and we had already this topic up last time, 2 weeks ago, about this 4th round of the Nyack Tourism Grants, and I think what happened is that the packet which contains all the detailed information was handed out in the day before. So what I do now, I'll just give you a summary basically of grants. I think it's just warming up. So while this is happening, just to give you again, kind of a refresher how this works. We went out back in October and asked basically all organizations, nonprofits, private organizations, individuals to submit their grant application, which they did. Deadline was end of November. And then the business council met a couple of times in December and also in January. And came up basically with recommendations, which application should get an award. That's basically where we are now.
Well, why don't you look at the, try to figure that out, I'll tell them a little bit more about the detailed background. So the, we had, just to remind you, we had about $50,000 to give out, which is the most we've ever given out with a round of the tourism grants. But we got requests for about $110,000. So we did have to show some judiciousness and, in allocating money to the grants, for the applications. There was no application that we thought was not worthy of support. They all were worthy of support. It was just a matter of trying to figure out how much we could afford to give and allocate then based on how many requests that we got. What we did do, and I mentioned this last week, is that we do foresee allocating about another $15,000, 15,000 to some of the applicants whose events are taking place either in the fall or take place all year. So we gave them enough to get them through their first half of the year and then a little bit more money later on. So that was how we kind of cheated and got ourselves under the $50,000 guideline. I'll let Tomas to work on that. So just tell you but everybody got something who made an application. Most people got approximately half to 2/3 of what they requested. Very few people got less than half of what they requested. And a lot of it was the function of how many events there were and how many people were expected to go to the events. And we kind of tried to allocate it that way. And we tried to keep allocations to be consistent so that a big event would get as much as here, they would get over there. So that kind of was our guideline as we went through it. So you're up and running.
So this is kind of an overview. So in total, there were 19 applications which received an award. You see already here the names, the organizations, and the amount. I'll go into more detail. But also what I have to always have to say this now, our fourth round, I'm always very impressed about how many applications we received and the depth and the creativity of our organizations and private businesses and individuals. I think it's just a great testament what NIAG is all about. All right, so let's dive in. Who are the individual suggested awards? First one up is Arts Rock. Probably many of you are familiar with that organization. They have a whole lineup of events already. The history of music, music with Leonard Slapkin, something which is really exciting. The 80th birthday of Tom Chapin, the kind of big celebration for Tom. They already did some spring candlelight concerts. They will have more on April 5th. In total, they expect about 600 people for all these different events, and the suggested award amount is $4,000 for the budget. Then we have actually Carolyn here, Carolyn Doyle. She has been doing something really cool at Hotel NIAG for many months already now, which is a salsa dance party at the hotel. And she wants to build on that. And on the weekend of April 26th, she wants to do a social dance workshop with 27 different sessions, salsa, cha-cha, bachata, I don't know what it is. Sounds good. She's going to bring in instructors from all different regions here, dance instructors. They're going to be a gala Saturday night with a Latin band, and she expects about 150 people attending this workshop. And the award proposal is $1,000 for this event. Then something which is kind of a new thing, which already has started for a couple of months, is ecstatic dance. The idea is to basically get yourself to a transformative journey, which is guided by music. It's a monthly event which happens at the Angel Night already. There's a dance instructor, there are DJs. These are actually different DJs at the time. There are other ceremonies around that and performances. And what's really cool about them, this is something we like about these awards, they bring out that aspect. After they're done, so there's no alcohol, no nothing during the event. But later on, for example, they go to Little Beans and have a nice cool down period, and that's where they basically can party on. So it really brings together a private business together with this event. And the idea is that we support them throughout the year. They expect about 100 people per month, which gets us to 1,200. So the idea is to support them with $2,450. Then something which we already did support and already happened last year is the Plain Air Festival here at Opera House. So obviously Opera House being one of our gems from a tourism standpoint, so we will support them. And they already picked the weekend for that. It's going to be October 15th to the 19th. And it's going to consist of multiple things. There's going to be a lecture, there's going to be a sketch mob, which they already did last year as well with Bill Batson. Really cool is they're going to have a family plein air painting at the Memorial Park. They have what they call a would-be artist family tour, where they walk around basically and go to those places where Hopper also painted 120 years ago. They're going to have a walking tour, and which is also a new aspect now to this time, for this year, they're going to have a painting invitational. So they're going to actually ask artists to come to Nyack and basically create or recreate public paintings. So that's going to be a new aspect of that. They're expecting actually over 350 people, and the idea is to support them with 3,500. Then Elmwood Playhouse is also something we support in the last one as well. They want to continue with that. They have this idea of basically uniting artists in Nyack. What that means is they're working together with the Nyack Art Collective, and they're going to have 5 shows in 2025. Each time they're going to have 12 performances for each show. And especially in the beginning, when they have a premiere, they're going to have people from the Nyack Art Collective there showing either a piece of art which were curated just for this event or existing art and make this even more special. And they're also working together with local business, with Stop and Show. We also have during the premiere then cheese and wine. And over this whole year, they expect about 1,000 people, and the idea is to support them with $2,400. There's something which we all probably have heard about and maybe participated before COVID. It's coming back now, which is the Historic Society of Nyack Historic House Tour. They want to revive that and bring it back because it was very popular when they did it. So they already have scheduled that for May 10th, which is Mother's Day. They have selected 8 to 10 houses for this tour. And you probably know how this works. Each house has a house captain and docent at each place. So it's basically a guided tour. But what's really interesting is that every participant gets a booklet, which has basically the house histories. And what we strongly support, and they're open to that, that after people go through this whole tour, and they expect over 500 for this one day, that they all then go out to a local restaurant, go to our business and shop there. So there's really an add-on after somebody takes their tour that they will enjoy our village and support our local businesses. And the idea is to support them with $5,000 for this event. Then something which really, I think, through the Nyack Tourism brand got the start and is, I think, now really a major contribution to our success. The Nyack Secondhand Shop, which Laura Branham and her other partners created 2 years ago. They did 7 hops in 23 and 24, and they want to do 4 more hops in 25. As we all know, vintage shopping is a big thing when it comes to tourism. It really attracts people. We have a good amount of businesses here who can actually offer that. And so we just want to continue to support her with that effort. For those 4 hops, she will bring in over 500 people all together. And the idea is to support her with $1,200. Then there's a new event which we were approached with. It's actually the husband of Brittany, who has Hippie Threads on South Broadway. His name is Mark Maragon, and he's a very established and experienced promoter in general. He does very big events, and he wants to do what he calls a spring or wellness fest right here in Nyack, in Memorial Park, where he highlights wellness and sustainability businesses we have here in Nyack, but also wants to enrich that with having different vendors here, local and external ones, who provide wellness products and services, yoga, meditation, and massages. He expects about 500 people for this event, and we're going to give him we want to give him $1,000 to explore that further and to really substantiate this concept. We believe it's a good concept, but it needs a little more detail. hopefully that smaller amount gives them the chance to really make a feasible concept out of this. Yeah, then also something we have supported, which is a huge staple for our village, is Moni's Jazz Cellar. They do again the Dancing on the Streets that's scheduled for May 10th. And they're also gonna put on again the Nyack Jazz Festival, which will be September 21st. You both probably have been there. These are great success of these shows. They're extremely well run. It's a really family event. There's no charge. And it's really for the whole family, something to enjoy. All in, they expect about 3,000 people for these two events, which is amazing. And our idea is to support for this time again with $4,000. Yeah, then also something which started 2 years ago, an initiative from Modern Druid. She calls it the Spirit of South Broadway. This will be rescheduled already for October 17th. And it's basically blocking off South Broadway, and the local stores there offer late night shopping. And it's really the kickoff of the Halloween activities in Nyack. There's obviously many more than down the road, but the idea is to really position that as the kickoff for Halloween. As you probably know, on the Westchester side, there's many more actually Halloween activities going on, so we have to somehow counter that. So we want to beef up what we are doing on Halloween besides our wonderful Halloween parade. So this is, I think, really important or an interesting aspect to accomplish that. Yeah, and again, she's been doing this for 3 years. It's always also a great family event with, you know, the restaurants getting special drinks and food, street vendors, DJs, drum circle. And last time again, she had over 500 people there, and the idea is to support that with $2,000. Yeah, then another event which we supported the first time last year, which was a big success, is Jeffrey Friedberg's Music for Life. He already has 2 dates scheduled for that. One is March 21st, and the other one is November. November, there's actually not a specific November date yet. It's a 2-hour variety show with singing, dancing, musical theater. It's at the ancient Nyack. And it basically features teenagers and young adults with a very diverse skill set. And it brings people really in, not just from Rockland, but from Westchester and Bergen County. Last time they had 300 people there. They expect the same again for these 2 events each time. And the idea is to support that with $1,500. Then we have the Nyack International Film Festival. That's Rich Gwynn. I mean, he has been doing this for now 13 years, which is amazing. We already have, obviously, the dates down. It's going to be beginning of April for 7 days. It's going to show over 70 movies right at the Hotel Nyack, brings in over 1,200 people, and the idea is to support that with $5,000. Then something which has been revived as well after COVID, already for a couple of months now, are the first Fridays of the Nyack Art Collective. So this is happening currently at the Bergerlof. It's a great event. You meet artists there. You can sample local brews. There's live music when they do these events. And they have about 100 people there per first Friday per month. And the idea is to support them throughout the year so they can really do this every month in 2025 with $1,800. Then something which is a new addition is the Nyack Library. They already last year did the Nyack Bike Park business event. This is something which I think is also great when we read about it, and they have one in Valley Cottage and now they have one in Nyack. That was already last year in Nyack. This one is scheduled now this year for September 22nd. It's a combination of art, talks, performances, and it really highlights our ethnic and minority groups and what they can offer as resources, as networking opportunities, and it's really highlighting in a great way our local history. They expect over 400 people there for this one day, and the idea is that we support that with $3,000. Yeah, in Phoenix, there's something, you know, this is now their 4th year, the Phoenix Theaters Company with the Phoenix Festival. They changed a little bit their format. That is just in Nyack, you know, in Upper Nyack. We'll do this again this year. It's between October 3rd and 16th. And again, expect over 1,000 people will come to this event or to all these different performances. And the idea is that we support them with $5,000. Then Another jazz event is the Rockland County Jazz and Blues Society. They are doing the whole night jazz week. They've been also doing this for years. This year it will be between September 21st and 27th. And it's a week-long jazz event in multiple locations, not just in New Orleans, but for example, also in Black Derrick Beats. They do a wonderful job, expect over 3,000 people all in, and the idea is to support them with $2,000. Then a new application we received is from the Rockland Pride Center. They were recently also wonderful things here for the village and for the county. And they would like to have support for the regular programming that they're doing, but obviously also for the Rockland Pride Sunday, which brings in obviously a lot of people, in total 12,000 people. And the idea is that we support that with $2,000 just to give them an extra boost to get the message out and make sure everybody sees what they're doing. Then also a new entry is the Angel Naiad. They have been for the last couple of months already, and Andy's part of that, have had the ukulele orchestra, which is happening in that building. But the idea is now to take this to the next level, and on September 20th, we have a mass ukulele concert in Memorial Park. And we expect a couple of hundred ukulele players. Good news about the ukulele is everybody can play it, everybody can sing along and string along. But the whole idea is also from a business standpoint to have a great picnic atmosphere. So the audience just goes there, listens, and buys food and drinks beforehand. And ultimately, not in 2025, but in a couple of years, we want to get to the world record, which is 8,500 ukulele players. Maybe not at the World Park, but we'll see.
Just for comparison's sake, there are 7,000 people living in mine.
But that's where the tourists come in. That's what
We're gonna need, everybody's gonna have to bring a friend.
Right. Or two.
Who doesn't?
And the proposal here that we support them with $2,000. Yeah, and then last but not least, also a new entry is from Trade and Prosper. That's Louise Newsom's company. She wants to organize the Nyack Village Craft Walk, which would happen in April 4th and 5th this year. It's an open air crafts market. Curated over 70 vendors who will be on the upper lawn in Royal Park and the Sakai Eastern Park. But the idea is that the brick and mortar business can also participate in that and basically become part of that walk. There will be an event map which will showcase all the participants, and she's hoping for over 10,000 people who will come for that event. And the idea is to support that with 2,500 dollars. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell, those 19 applications. I just want to say thank you very much in general already for your support over the last couple of years. Also, to Joe, the Business Council, for really chipping in when it comes to making sure that it's a fair process. And yeah, that was my presentation. Thank you.
Questions, comments?
I do have a question. How do you track how many people attend these events?
How we track it is typically we ask them after the event.
So it's self-reported, yeah, I mean, but, you know, they. A lot of us go to those events, so we have a sense of whether they were, well attended.
If it's solely off, then we would say, I was there too, maybe.
I was there, right?
Maybe.
It was me and Susan, and that's not 300 people.
I just looked the first things like, oh, those big numbers of how many people they're expecting.
Well-
Of the events, how many of them are free of charge for folks just coming in?
I actually just looked through that, of these 19 events, there are 10 events which are free.
Okay. And then I guess, of the folks who are the grantees, how many, is everyone a village resident? Are we getting communities of impact to come in and have these events, giving them opportunity to have advertising? What are, I guess, our grantees look like? Is it a diverse group of people? Is it like all the events?
Yeah, if you look, and if you look at the list here, I think it's a pretty good cross section of gender, ethnic backgrounds. I think it's really across the board. So I think it's a good reflection of Nyack, I would say.
The for-profit venues, companies, are they gonna be providing some amount of discounted tickets to people that need it? Free tickets or discounted tickets?
I mean, when this topic comes up, and I typically reach out to any of the organizations, I know it's specifically, for example, with Phoenix. They have done, for example, at the Nike Center, specific performances where they gave away tickets, for example, through the Nike Center. So that was a definite outreach from their side. And I know it from Arts Rock as well, from Elliot and all these other guys, if we get a request that someone says, hey, I would like to come to this, but I cannot afford it. I've never heard anybody saying, well, we cannot make arrangements to. So they have been all very accommodating and helpful, and so I just want to say in general, you know, if you know of any citizens here, residents, or anybody who will go to any of these events and money is the issue, just let me know. I'm more than happy to reach out to them, and I've never seen any pushback on it.
And none of these are big dollar events that I'm looking at. I mean, I can't think of any of them that, I know tickets for Elmwood are about $25. That's about the highest ticket cost, I think, of any of these items. Arts Rock events, I think, are cheaper.
Aesthetic Games, for example, I think it's $10.
Yeah,
It's not nothing crazy.
The Phoenix Theater is less than $25 per ticket. And you can often get decent deals if you buy in advance, right?
But they're the first ones, you know, Greg, and these are the first ones we take if somebody raises their hand.
And a lot of these are free. A lot of these events are free.
Whatever happened with the art walk?
I can give you an update on it. You want it right now?
No.
I'll give you an update on it when we're done with this.
Okay.
We'll get through this so we can finish the conversation.
Thought I saw just a comment
Sure.
in the back, I wasn't sure if.
Oh, that's that's even to go. The plain, it's an open air event. There's not even a charge for this event. To go to the museum is pretty cheap. To be a member is relatively cheap, but this event that we're funding.
Well, it's a mixture. There's some things which you have to sign up for, you have to pay for it, and some are free.
But that's to paint, it's cost, but to watch the people paint, it's
No,
free.
to just walk around.
Thank you.
But let's remember that because she's brought that question up before. Let's make sure we track that next year, next round. That maybe we had a question for the application about whether it satisfies the diversity objectives of the village. And also, let's keep track of how much the ticket prices are gonna be, as well as just, well, we'll add a little column as to, is the event free? What's the top ticket cost? What's the average ticket cost? That sort of thing. Because I know it comes up, it would be good for us to have that, just so we can at a glance look and see what we're doing here. I would also.
Oh,
yeah, no, go ahead.
including in some of the things that, I guess it would be nice to see, this is what our third or fourth year.
Fourth round.
Fourth round in general, so it would be nice to start seeing. If there's ways to sort of bridge some barriers to access issues, if there are people who we know typically do things in the community who may. Not have a 501c3 or may not have a way to sort of have access to these grants, it might be worth starting to look into that and sort of making to bridge that gap.
So we don't have any of those barriers.
Okay.
So that's,
You don't have to be one five one C three.
Okay.
it doesn't even have to be incorporated.
Oh, perfect.
So
Okay.
we have people with, you know, these are individuals, and we say, we make this very simple. So we, for example, say that, you know, if somebody, an ad agency places ads, they send the invoice direct to Visit NIAC,
Mhm.
so there's no middleman necessary.
Well, it's great. Good to hear.
I will say the best deal that we get every year is Tomas working on this, because we remember we approved the, an MOU with him to do the processing, and we pay Visit NIAC a certain amount of money for that, but the money we spend is very well invested, and probably he's gonna come to ask for a raise at some point, because I know how hard he works on it, so thank you, Thomas.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Then we'll plead property.
Yeah, that's-
Joe,
yeah,
just two quick things. I'm not sure if it ever actually got stated explicitly. All of this grant money goes towards just the promotional costs. So these events and organizations are being organized on their own means. And then the village grant helps them, gives them a big megaphone to sort of invite as many people as possible. And that's the promotion.
yeah, sometimes the grants, they ask for a lot, and then we realize when they break it out that like, most of the money's going to like. Pay to close the streets, or they pay for equipment, or they're paying, so we say, no, we'll cover just the piece that's for marketing, because that's all we pay for.
Right, and we know that in the Visit Night only pays for those kinds of costs, so none of the money is going towards paying the musician or setting up staging.
Or salary or staff, anything like that.
So it's all about destination marketing. And the other thing I wanted to remember to mention as well is that this legislation for the hotel bed tax, which funds this, does expire. I think it might expire this year. If it's been a couple of years since it was passed originally, so we need to go back to, our assemblyman and our senator and make sure that it's on their list for renewal. Before lots of people.
I will tell you, please do that sooner rather than later, because once budget's done, you're gonna start fund rushing all those through. If you don't have all the home rules and stuff up there.
I spoke with John Mulkey about it.
Okay.
A couple days ago, I'm sure Pat Carroll was for your.
I also, we need to get a logo. Let's get a logo for the tourism grants, because I would like to ask the people when they do the promotional stuff that we have they put a little bug on it that says that it was funded in part by this, because we
Well,
don't,
they already have to put the village members and I go,
okay.
they have to do.
Well, we'll get a logo that's specifically for this, that relates to this as opposed to the village. Because sometimes the village also supports them in other ways. Like we have some of those events are events that the village provides services apart from the tourism grants. All right, this is gonna come up. Is this a resolution today? It's one of we have the confirmation of what we decided. So let's just go to the resolution while we are at 7.2. Actually, I'm 7.2 resolution 2025-13. Approving the grants under the NIC Hotel Tourism Grant Program. Any, can I get on the table?
Motion, second.
Any further comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. All right, let's go back to the numbers. We're up to 6, adoption of the minutes.
We did five. We didn't do the audit gosh or something.
We did 6 is before 7.
Oh, fair enough.
That's
Okay, see you.
So 6, adoption of the minutes. We always skip and have to go back later. I apologize for that. The minutes for our February 13 meeting. I had a couple corrections which I made earlier this week that Linda put in already. Does anybody have any other comments or questions? Oh, sorry, can I get on the table?
Motion, second.
Any other comments or questions on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are hereby adopted. Action item 7.1, resolution 25-20, accepting the audited voucher summary. Can I get on the table?
Motion, second,
Any comments or questions?
no.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Action item 7.2, skipping down, 2025-21. Resolution to obtain property by means of eminent domain at 281 Upper Depew and 25 Route 59. Can I get this on the table?
Motion.
Second. Andy, can you give us an explanation what this is about?
The village has about a $5 million grant for sidewalk work on Depew and Upper Depew, Main Street and Midlands and connecting streets. It's called the Safe Routes to Schools Grant. The design process is almost complete. There's a couple of properties where the sidewalk needs a little bit of elbow room to private property. The most of the owners of those properties have agreed to a fair market value easement or fee taken. A couple of them haven't. The one on Upper Depew can't because they have some sort of issue with their estate and they can't find like the right person to sign a piece of paper or something like that. The one on Lower Depew, which is the other one here, has just been unable to sort of sort out his various thoughts, they're unresponsive and so on. And we need a few inches of his driveway essentially to complete this project.
And just to clarify, this would be by eminent domain, so they would get fair market value for the sliver of property that we're taking.
Right.
Okay. Any comments or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. By the way, I didn't say this as we started the action items, but it does say it, I think, on the agenda. If anybody has comments or questions about individual action items, you can bring them up while we're discussing the action item. Just raise your hand if you want to get in to discuss them. Action item 7.5, resolution 25-24, approving a contract with Fireworks Extravaganza for July 4th, 25 event for $29,005.
You skipped over the second.
7.3. I'm sorry, Cedar, which one?
7.3.
I missed it. 7.3. Oh, it's the second one. Okay, I'm sorry. 7.3, resolution 25-22, obtaining property by means of eminent domain of 121 Depew Avenue. Can I get on the table?
Second.
This is the same issue. Any comments or questions on this one?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Now, resolution 25-23, no, we did that. 25-24, approving a contract with Fireworks Extravaganza for July fourth, 2025 event for 29,500. Can I get it on the table?
Second.
This is, we talked about this last week. It's gonna cost a little more because we're doing it offshore, but it's worth it. It's a better experience because we can open up the lower basin of the park and all the parking lot and everything else for seating, which is much better than it was in the past. This year will be even better because last year, if you remember, we had closed the field, so you couldn't even sit up there. We're gonna be able to take a lot of people to sit down in the field this year. Any comments or questions about it?
Yeah, I have a question. It's the contract says 20 to 25 minutes. Is it possible to get another 5 or so minutes to the show to make it 30 minutes? I mean, it's a lot of money that we're spending, almost $30,000. Is it possible to get squeeze a couple more minutes out of that?
I mean, I can't hurt to ask. I'll give it a shot.
Well, it's narrowed down to 20 to 25 minutes. I mean, to some extent, it might be the same number of fireworks, just shot off in a slightly slower pace. You know, they could do that. That's what I would do. If I were them. I'd be like, oh, you want a 30-minute show? Here you go.
What I say is, you guys made the comments about how short the show was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, but that's not last year. Last year was,
Last year was great.
well, 2 years ago, the problem is that it was also short in height of the fireworks themselves.
You can't have too much fireworks.
Let's try to clarify. If we can get.
I'll ask them for more.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of, we can get.
30 minutes. If we get 30 minutes, a solid 30 minutes, that's great.
30 minutes is a lot of fireworks, man. That's a long time.
We should also just use drones while we're at it, just like, let's do a little bit. I'm just.
If you don't ask, if you don't ask, you don't get.
All right.
Fair enough.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. So we did that. 7.7, resolution 2025-26. Resolution to refund the building department application fees due to a project cancellation. Can I get on the table?
Sure.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. All right, that's it for our resolutions. Sam, we have.
We just.
Oh, no, you printed that before we got taken off. It's not ready yet, right? Yeah, not ready for a second. I know everyone's wondering, what's the mysterious 7.8, what could it be, what could it be? Let's go to department reports, we didn't have a meeting with the police department this week, anything else come up with them?
The usual stuff.
Yeah, we had conversations with them about some issues relating to, certain individuals as well as certain locations where we feel that we want more police attention. That was in some email exchanges, some phone calls back and forth, but we didn't have a formal meeting.
Well, what was the resolution to that?
And the resolution is the way it always is, where we ask them to pay room. Well, the resolution is that they have. The resolution is they did resolve that. For the specific individual we were talking about, that they were endeavoring to look for. To make sure that there was an opportunity to pursue charges, that we're gonna pursue them. That's the best way to put it. I don't want to talk about it in more detail now. But they were going to, we've expressed a certain amount of being fed up with certain activities, and they seem to share that. They seem to agree with that. It was time to try to take some more creative action and try to enforce the law here in certain ways. We've anything from the village attorney?
Since you refused to take me off the agenda, I feel compelled to offer something. We had our first justice court session this morning with an abundance of village ordinance, some quality of life matters, which has been relatively quiet in the past couple of years, at least since I've been here, and maybe for many years before. But anyway, it actually went, I thought, very well. We had a good turnout, and nearly all of the residents who appeared regarding those code violation cases brought by the building department overwhelmingly were cooperative. and it went smoothly. So, that's all.
I
So
actually,
enlightened by this report.
I actually happened to be,
There
in
was
the,
one-
in the room today.
President, it doesn't matter really, wasn't so happy. with the
Yeah,
whole thing.
I was there for
But other than that, one resident, was cooperative and understanding, and, it went well.
that. Yeah, I happened to be here today, to observe, the process of the Justice Court. It's really a well-oiled machine functioning. They have the people in here, they pull them outside, they wait in the hallway, they come meet with you, they resolve the plea bargains, they come back in, judge calls them up. And forth, they get the message through this way and they enforce the plea bargain. It was very, very quick. One of the things that did come up later is the idea that some of these, public safety, actions involving hedges, involving streets, involving all the stuff that's been coming out of the building department, that those tend to take longer to resolve than the traffic violation. So you might need to put them in a,
That was already discussed
stack them.
for this morning, and we just wanted to. It was already kind of scheduled when the vehicle and traffic law cases were mixed in with the village ordinance. Code enforcement cases, so it was too late to separate them, but we want to see how it would go anyway, and you were accurately observed, it is difficult to have. The traffic cases on the same justice court calendar docket as the code enforcement cases, so going forward, they are largely predominantly going to be separate. Once in a while, you can have some spillover just because of timing issues where people are not gonna be able to come to court on a particular day of the month when they have the village ordinance cases, so they maybe put out a calendar, so other than random ones like that, generally they're gonna be separate court dockets.
There were several actions involving, public safety issues where we did get a default judgment because the defendant, limited liability company failed to appear. Having appeared previously, so having entered appearances on the case, they failed to appear, I think, more than once. And this time we were declared, default judgment, so we have a judgment against them with a fine of $1,000, and that fine could be executed in a number of ways. So,
Going forward, I've spoken to Judge Noble about it and provided him with a legal brief, although he already knew the law, he didn't need it, but we gave it to him anyway.
yes, I saw that, I saw the email from today.
When we have non-appearing corporations or limited liability companies, LLCs, limited liability companies, we can serve the New York State Secretary of State with the court appearance ticket or court summons. And if they never appear at all, ever, you can enter that, we're calling a default judgment, but it's actually a conviction. The judge can enter a guilty conviction and sentence the corporate or LLC defendant in absentia, which is a wonderful tool to have. It's all supported by the law. So we're not gonna have a lot of these LLCs and corporate defendants, cases just lingering on for years. They're gonna be resolved, fairly quickly, through that process.
I should say Joe Cronley was there with me for much of the day, much of the morning. We were there sitting side by side watching the wheels of justice turn. It was a fascinating experience. It was very fascinating. It was really interesting.
So with that copious and informative report, I'll be off for next meeting. You'll have me.
That's all, talk to Andy. I don't make that's all Andy. Andy sets that up. But we're gonna leave you on there just to torture you. And we expect the reports. Village administrator, what's going on?
I just want to mention as well on that court docket, we had a couple of leaf blowers.
Yes, there were a number of them.
Wondering if the area's enforced, the answer is yes.
Yeah,
And I'm hopeful that that one landscaper, Agent Flores, actually showed up and
He did.
did.
He did.
and there were a number of,
He was one of the cooperatives.
I've had a lot of complaints about him.
Yeah.
He showed up,
He's
and he
blown
was
us off.
a gentleman, he was cooperative, he worked out a plea deal, and like I said, everyone was cooperative and understanding, except for one, and that was it.
Okay, Andy, I saw what you did there.
It's public information.
I mean, yeah, I see the pun though, that really was off.
oh, wow.
Sounds natural.
That was very nicely done. I slipped right by it.
And then a shout out to,
Please.
law enforcement officer Richard Sidney, he was excellent. He was
Yeah, he was good. And in the,
Very helpful.
he had video recordings, he had
Oh, wow.
all
He
sorts of
came
stuff.
prepared, he was very helpful, he had an excellent demeanor, very calm and patient, unlike me. This was after I left?
Yeah.
Glad I had
Oh. Yeah, you missed the fireworks. You missed there was a whole colloquy up here with a lot of, unhappiness.
Shout out to code enforcement officer Sid, he was very helpful.
The
Glad I had
neighbors
him.
also-
Good.
All right, Andy, what do you got?
A couple things. One is communications. I have two which I'd like the board to think about. One is, they both have to do with disruptions in our federal funding. Resources. One is the CDBG program, which is funded from the Federal Housing and Urban Development. We do have one under contract, $300,000 for the sidewalks near our neighbor's house. But future money is in and out. And our local community development office is asking for boards to consider sending letters to representatives to support the continued funding of this community development block grant program, which for the village of Acton meant a lot. Our next application, which is provisionally approved, is for improvements to the senior center, a new roof, heating and cooling, and things like that, which are really important for the community. A lot of sidewalk project, paving, and other things have gotten done with this kind of money, to the $200 million over the years. And so I wanted the board to know that they're asking for that support. Likewise, the federal money that's fairly important, although not like absolutely essential, it's not a huge amount of money, for our solar arrays and our EV vehicles that we have bought and would like to buy. The federal contribution to that is also down.
Mm.
And it could be somewhat disruptive to our planning process, our ability to have these new assets in the village. Those monies go away.
Well, then we can get the money if we buy a certain kind of EV. Sadly,
So
enough.
one of those cases, I'd like to draft the letters of support.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, whatever we need to do.
Can you give us a template that we could use?
It was emailed, I believe.
Is that?
It was emailed.
Well, we'll take care, we'll get versions of it, which can be signed by each of us, just individually and sent out.
Put through AI, so that we can make it a change.
Also, has there been any attempt to have a meeting with Congressman Lawler's office about this?
Not from me personally. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, sure.
I'll talk to Teresa about it. About working with her, because she's in the same boat.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's strength in numbers, sure, as long as I would, if we directly appeal to him, he's our representative. What's your-
Yeah, I understand, I'm thinking.
New York State CHIPS funding, it drives from federal.
Not necessarily, I mean, we're putting in an increase for chips this year, I believe. It was either 50 million or 100 million as a chips increase, but, some of it does, some of it doesn't. There are like methods that the feds do pay for it, but the state puts in money as well.
I'm just curious if we can predict the increase or decrease of chips.
I will get back to you, but I believe there's supposed to be an increase this year in chips. We've been advocating for it for a while, and I know there was supposed to be an additional like 800 million thrown into DOT, but I'm not sure which programs that's going to specifically. I just know that was put in, and then there was an increase for Region 8 as well. I believe it was.
Also, our wonderful Tuesday night music in the park permit application is gonna be delivered to you next meeting. We'll have a special feature, which is the desire to allow beer and wine as a part of those events. And from the staff perspective, we don't have any concerns or issues with it. Mark Mangan is comfortable with it. I know that they've already reached out to some local caterers who might be interested in providing that service. But I want to let you know that that application will come in with that additional somewhat unusual request.
Okay.
If you have any, want to discuss it?
And thank you, Andy, for the list of the capital grants, that was very helpful.
Very good.
It really brought home how much money we're talking about that's we've been able to get as much as all the work that's been able to get done because of it. That's good. That's that, was that in the packet for the public? Was it? also put in the
No,
packet?
Trustee Carlin asked for that rundown and I developed that spreadsheet internally, share with you. I'm happy to post.
Yeah, let's get, we'll go and we'll clean it up a little bit and get it out.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah. Well, you actually heard the print, I can never print it.
It's hard to get it on a single sheet.
Yeah, you saw how I printed out, it's 4 pieces taped together, it was like this big. Anything else?
Oh, I'm happy to answer questions or go into more detail. I know this is really just a summary. And it does speak to sort of the really pretty extraordinary portfolio of projects that we have moving forward as far as capital improvements and grants and stuff like that. Really happy to see there's a lot of complexity to it and there's a lot of work. Work in. Especially when it comes to village hall, replacement, HVAC, upgrades.
Is your microphone on?
It's working. Yeah.
He's just a very low talker.
I'm on, just these.
Yeah, maybe I need to try to turn up the volume on this one, but I don't know. I'm afraid of touching that soundboard over there. 'Cause I'm-
You can also turn up the volume just in your own diaphragm, you know,
You can project.
you project.
I wasn't trained.
We're almost
to figure out
Stentorian.
words.
Just for the public, just FYI, the report that we got, we counted the number of grants that, actually it was about all the capital projects. It wasn't just grants. Because it also involved, things that we have put out bonds for. But in terms of the grants, there's about $9 million of grants, which probably required a little over $1 million of matching funds, but for the most part, so we had to pay about 10 to 20% of the grant amount, but the total amount of work that has been done over the last few years is about $10 million of work that was done largely through grants and through the matching process that we followed with it, that we had to put up a portion of the amount of money for the work. So we've been very successful getting grants, and I think that something we got to continue. Especially as money gets a little tighter, there's still opportunities to get money through grants for special projects and things like that. And there's gonna be, you know, who knows what's going on with the federal budget, but next year's not the bicentennial, it's the 250 or whatever that is.
I don't know.
Whether, yeah, it's something, it's a very, very complicated term, but they're calling it USA 250, and that's the program, and there's a big grant process for that, for events that relate to historic nature. So we might be able to get grants for like the 2020 6 fireworks displays and things like that. So we'll be looking at that grant process. There's one right now, and then there's one starting in the summer for next summer. All right, anything else, Andy? Any
Well, we
questions
can
for Andy?
move on.
Actually, can I ask a question? Nike Hoops, I saw your email about it. Can we just discuss it a little bit?
Sure.
I know I've asked previously, and since we're coming up on budget, is there any way any of those remaining funds can get funneled through a Parks and Rec budget? So that we can have a basketball program this year?
So those are, I think there's a number of questions kind of buried in there. We do not have a deal with Nyack Hoops. They've been unable to provide any of the needed.
Correct. Well, that's why I understand that, but that's why if we ran it as a village run program and hired a coordinator, then we wouldn't have some of that paperwork issue because everything would run through the village. Would we be able to do that?
It's entirely up to this village board.
I mean,
I don't know if that. It's a good question. I don't know if the grant money, we may lose it. Because of the amount of delay we've had in trying to use it. So one question would be, do we have that grant money to use for a different purpose?
I can
The other
talk with
question
you a
would be
little
what
bit
the
more.
General fund, if you want to fund a part-time position or a seasonal position or something like that.
I think,
That would look like.
yeah, I would like to do that. I know we've been talking about it for a while with trustee, Rhea Taylor and Donna. I can talk with you a little bit more offline about that process because I'm currently going through that with other grantees, and so I know that there are some things that can get done. But we could talk about that as well. No, my only question.
Yeah, I think it's an absolutely, I think a worthwhile inquiry to figure out if we can find a way to find in the budget for some sort of recreational program that we could be running if through one of the existing organizations, or if we could have enough money to be able to hire somebody to run it. It's just a shame how you know, we're in a town that does a lot of recreational, but not on the side of 303. And they don't use the facilities, even though we do have you know, there's a middle school that does have, that's in, you know, the area that does have basketball courts and other fields and things like that,
You
so.
can pay for that recreation.
And we pay for that, you know, that might be something else I'll take up with, I'll bring up to Teresa, because,
I know that's been brought up in the past, and I think that is also an alternative workaround. To have it through their recreational programs and just
Yeah.
have it posted in the Nyack
yeah, just trying
area.
to get some programs down here would actually be worthwhile. Well, let's bring it up with her, we've been talking to her about other stuff, we should bring this up with her, she's always very, open, and, she's been very, she's very, enthusiastic about doing what she can for the village, so I appreciate that. All right, anything else for Andy?
That's all.
I'll bring up the thing I have on the new business. Do we have a village clerk report? See, that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do, is say, no, you don't have to like make something up. Someday Lynn's gonna have something, she's gonna shock us all, she's gonna have the whole thing. All right, old business budget calendar, do we have dates that you're suggesting?
Yes, I just. I mimicked last year's schedule, so. If you wanna add 2 budget workshop meetings. Dates that might work might be April 3rd and April 15th. The budget deadline for adoption will be your meeting on April 24th. And you have until May 1st, so if you miss that for some reason, you guess the last minute changes, you can have a special meeting before May 1st.
So April 3rd and April 15th
April 3rd and April 15th.
with adoption on the 24th.
Right. I was suggesting. Make it a little earlier than our meetings, you should start more of a workshop.
6 o'clock? Can we do 6, can anybody do 6 o'clock?
Depends on,
Natalie, 36.
right,
Well, how early can you come? Oh, you say you can't do 6 o'clock?
I can't.
Can you do 6:30?
I could definitely be here.
Okay, let's try to do 6:30 then.
That's on the 3rd, April 3rd and April 15th.
that work for you,
April 15th is a Tuesday.
Really?
It's a Tuesday.
right there, I think they're both.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Okay,
April
so
3rd is a Thursday,
Thursday,
April
15th
15th is a Tuesday.
tax day.
Perfect to enjoy budget.
We'll advertise those 2 meeting dates with them on the calendar. And we're in the process of developing the water fund budget, the general fund budget. And the parking budget as well.
Also, you know, because we have a new treasurer in Kyle. Queenborough.
That's right, there you go, you got it.
I thought you probably remember that. I'm gonna, with him and with, we're gonna be getting help from Jen, as well. But also, I usually get the budget that comes out of the finance, the last couple of years, they deliver it, and then I do like a bunch of things to it, and then tee up a bunch of stuff for you. I'm gonna work with them through the process this year in March, so that when you get the budget, it's already got my kind of gloss and commentary and like the thing that shows you how much has changed and highlighting the, you know, the places where there's a big change from the previous year, either up or down, for both revenues and expenditures, so that we can move a little bit, because I wanna work with them, because I've spent a lot of time digging into the budget, and I might be able to give some assistance to Kyle as he gets his legs underneath him with it. But also that would make it a little bit easier in April to get through it quickly, because we'll have a more finished version that will already have a lot of secondary documents attached to it, all right? So we'll try to move that along, it's in April.
Is that all we need, our 2 meetings? Is that typically?
We'll talk about it in your regular meetings as well.
All right, anything else on the budget calendar, public murals?
We have 2 representatives of the mural.
Oh, I would have moved them up, that's, of course, that's why they're here, I would have moved them up, see, I asked you if there's anything else to move up. Sorry to make you
Well,
sit
they
through
want
all
to
the
see the whole
audited
meeting.
process summary. Why don't you come up so you can talk about this, yeah.
So I'll just frame it that you have in your packet a memo from me. Essentially. Making the case that we can't find examples of public mural programs. Which have strictly speaking, an approval by local government. The ones on private property are typically developed a relationship between the artists and the community and the property owners. And that seems like a robust and a good way of doing things. The current code the village has would require a public mural to go through the ARB for approval. And so my suggestion to you is that we have an exemption, put that in the code so that we could do public mural development without ARB approval or permitting.
Okay, let me actually, let's just ask, I know not everybody knows you, why don't you introduce yourselves and what your just general purpose is and what you're working on?
Okay.
Maybe there's a mic for you.
And I'll add that these individuals have done, I think, 2 presentations to this board, describing their backgrounds, their
Oh.
relationships with various property owners.
So this board
yeah,
or
this
previous
board.
boards?
Not for
This board, okay.
Yeah, as part of our DRI process and then.
Oh,
sometime
that's
more
right,
recently,
that's right.
Going over something, I don't know what it was. I think.
Well, then just say hi,
Hi.
save you all that, I didn't realize.
Showers, and I am one of the founders of Hudson Valley Mural Arts, and I'm a resident of Nyack of 25 years, and used to be on the board of Opera House. And I believe that our village needs more public art.
I've been here in South Nyack for 28 years and consistently committed to involving children and young people in some way for education and involvement. And we're looking to bridge the community through public arts and have a very active education process in New York. So it's on one hand, it's a public benefit for tourism, increased business activity and excitement in combination with the local commerce, but also to engage the community in the process in painting with the leadership and educational skills of the artist, Alice, who's really a skilled artist and teacher.
My name is Alice Mizrahi. I am a public artist, but I also organize and manage programs pretty nationally, but then I've done a lot of it globally. I work with municipalities, I work with embassies, and I develop large scale mural programs throughout the world. So I'm really interested in building this program. I'm super excited to be doing it in my own community because I usually step outside of my community to do it. I've been living in West Nyack for 12 years now, and I'm originally from Queensland.
All right, so the issue in front of us is really the process. We had a meeting a couple of weeks ago here in this room. That we talked about, what would be the process of getting the mural developed and what would there be committee and what the village involvement in the committee would be. And sort of there's this balance that we have to try to find that we want there to be a certain amount of artistic expression and independence with the formation of mural. But I know there's some concern on the part of the board about not having any input into the final product and having something put up that might be difficult, might bring issues like happened in where?
Greenberg.
In Greenberg, most recently. What, as we talked about, the idea was there would be a committee with some representation by the village board. On the committee would be a smallish committee, under 10 people with local artists, and they would be and there would be community input, and there would be a whole process. But we did not, and I think it was certainly my feeling that I didn't necessarily want there to be a village board or definitely not an ARB kind of review, but I didn't want a village board, any kind of review that would be substantive of, you know, saying, well, we don't really like the way this looks or that looks or anything like that. But it has been raised about the general subject matter of the mural. It's been raised by Deputy Mayor Pascal Jean-Gilles that, you know, we do leave ourselves a little vulnerable if we don't have any kind of final approval of the result in any form. So is there any suggestion as to how we kind of resolve that tension? Did I say that okay?
Yeah, just to, like I said, I'm not here to nitpick or like say, I don't like the way your brush strokes are, like, I'm not interested in any of that. I just want to make sure that what gets put up is in line, is more like in the spirit of what the community is looking for in terms of what they wanna see in Berwick art. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna be calling you your Atlas.
I mean, I'd be happy to. I've always wanted to do the Halloween painting and I was never picked, whatever.
Oh my God, but look where you are now.
Or anything, so.
Look how far you've come from that young woman who
You
didn't
know,
get picked
it's-
for the Halloween painting.
it hurt, I'm just saying, anyway, but no, that's more as like, I don't wanna, that's basically the goal, is I just wanna make sure it's like what people really wanna see and, you know, has impact and nothing like crazy.
So one of the things that we have in mind for the process, in this education process, is not just about art and drawing and execution, it's about community engagement. So one of the things we're going to work with the students, we're gonna have basically a master class application. We're gonna speak to the teachers and in the local areas for recommendations. We're gonna try to engage a lot of students who have a serious application with teacher approval, parent approval, a signature, a commitment to set classes. It's not a formal master class program. And one of the things on the agenda is taking sketches and bringing them around to local businesses so that everybody feels part of the community. And if the students not only learn art, but they learn communication skills, how to express themselves and say, how to make a kind of a pitch to local businesses. And if the trend is we want something a little bit more kid-friendly and not too political, whatever that is, all of that input will be taken very seriously. So, yeah, we've put a lot of thought into this. We don't want to do anything that's
Yeah,
offensive or
Right.
gonna disappoint people. This is all for fun and basically an effort to improve our community through public art.
no, I agree.
Yeah, we will have committees that we set in place, for the projects that we do. One of the things that we thought about was that a local business owner, whatever the local business owner is, that they will be part of that committee. The students, some of the students will be part of that committee, some, like a local arts organization that what else did we add on that? Because we did make a procedures and protocols.
So there would be like on the, the community about the public art advisory committee. So yes, we would have maybe a village representative like Andy or Joe or somebody. The artist on the project, whether it's Alice or some other muralist that is chosen for that specific site.
Local.
It's a local person. A rotating artist community member. So for example, like I talked to actually Kathy Benowitz today, who's the executive director of the Hopper House. Somebody who's from like Carol Perry or Robin Scheuer, who are involved with the Perry Lawson Gallery. Somebody who has a sense of art and art taste and understands that aesthetic. And us,
Yeah.
we're all familiar with that process.
And the property owner.
And the property
Yeah.
owner.
For that
Thank you.
particular, you know,
Business owner, it's not just the building owner, but the business owner.
So you guys gave a presentation a few months ago, was it you for the DRI?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have like 6 or 7 sites
Yeah.
that you identified?
Yeah, currently we have 3 business owners that are interested in moving forward. One of them is Modern Druid, one of them is DR Pilla, and the third one is the Parker. We're working actually with Vitus and Rockland Gardens to potentially do a mural there. We would love to speak with you more about that because we were at the
Yes,
meeting.
you guys were actually, and I
so
was
when
not
we were
there
to
for,
speak,
yeah.
We would like to kind of unpack some of
Yeah,
that at a
yeah.
later time and just talk about some of the solutions.
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to chat with you guys. I know, that whole meeting, that
Yeah,
part was a little
It was
crazy.
a little
Yeah,
hard,
yeah, yeah.
But we'd like to talk more about.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
One of the locations that you mentioned was the Hudson of yesteryear. That was on the Soul
Soul
Flight,
Flight,
yeah, or the
That is not.
We've decided to take a pause on that because we know there's like a lot of tension around who the artist will be and
Right, well,
potentially restoring it and what that looks like.
right, well, I know that the daughters of John Elliott, they are planning on restoring it to its former glory.
But advise them on what artists to go with or who to,
Okay,
you
good.
know, potentially
Good.
source.
All right,
And,
good.
if there are other businesses who are interested, I guess, is there a way they can get in touch with you or?
Absolutely, we have a website, we have an Instagram, and of course, we will be available for future meetings, and we really want this to be a collaborative art project that is, you know, a lot of, we want people to weigh in and make, I mean, we've seen this happen in Linwood, we've seen it happen in Bushwick, we've seen it happen throughout the United States, but then throughout the world, and I've been part of a lot of those initiatives, so now I'm interested in doing it where I live.
Yeah, it was just in Portland and they had murals all over.
Yeah,
They
I
really-
did one important.
Yeah, they were really gorgeous.
So, I mean, and just with what Tomas was talking about, you know, one of the key pieces to tourism is public art and murals. Specifically, it brings foot traffic, people, there's like so much research about how there's a specific correlation about people going to a destination because of mural.
All right, the issue at hand is, is there, let me just get a poll of the board. Is there general agreement that we don't want the murals to be subject to ARB review? On a general basis, okay.
Thank you.
So in order to exempt from ARB review, do we want, just of the four of us here, would we want to have a village board up or down review of the final product just as a fail-safe? I got one that says yes, I got two
Like,
that say yes.
If, I know when you guys are doing some of your initial sketches, if like Tomas did like a presentation that happened and then we could just do like an up or down thumbs up, would that work or is that too?
We could definitely submit a final design proposal that was finalized by the members that are working on it
Right.
together. I would say, you know, if so many people are approving it, then it draws out the process even longer. So we're happy to share our sketches and our designs and our process with you.
Yeah,
You know, I would just be mindful that we don't want to then go back and make 20 edits because. then we
Well, that's why I've always
Right.
framed as an up or down, that,
Yeah.
you know, the idea is not to make, you know, well, maybe this could be bluer or something like that. It's more just, it's more of a final check on
yeah,
appropriateness, which I think would generally be, you know, given the process you're gonna go through in the meantime. You know, given that there will be representation from the board on the committee, as well as a lot of public involvement in
and
the
that
committee.
was my.
It'd be very
alternative,
weird if it came up and then the board were to say,
By
no,
the time
but,
it gets to you, you guys are
Yeah.
gonna love it.
Or make the process, like you said, there's two board members, or pick however many that are in earlier.
That are on the
rather
committee.
than- That are on the committee, because to wait till all of the steps have happened and then have a presentation here,
Yeah,
and then it's.
It might be, it might be.
all right, that's what, I'm trying to narrow that down, because that's where there's two different versions here. There's a version that says that the board will have board involvement in the process, and we're gonna trust that the board members that are delegates to the, you know, members of the committee are going to be mindful of the public, and then we'll be coming back to advise the board and saying, you know, probably have ongoing discussions about what's going on. Or is there a formal board vote on it? I could go either way on it. I'm not wedded to either way on it, but I know that at least there was some concerns of what happened, that there'd be some sort of formal board approval. So I ask again, do we want a formal board approval, or are we okay with just working through the committee?
I'm fine with either, cause I think if there's board members on the committee. One of us would like, if there was something glaring, I think that's more what I'm looking at. I don't
Yeah.
wanna come back and be like, oh, let's make 20 edits, like, I don't wanna do any of that. I just wanna make sure that there's like, if there's nothing glaring, I'm fine with board members being on the committee that's going through this design process.
I actually think that we are responsible. We are elected to represent the village. I think the board needs to have final approval on the village. So, I mean, we could be a hybrid, so we can have
Yeah.
one or two board members on, but I think, but the final approval should come, if, in my opinion, from the board.
Now?
No,
There's sort of two visions here, which,
no, I mean, I definitely agree with,
All right.
Jeff, so.
okay, all right, well then let's do this, let's make it, let's posit that what we're gonna do is we're gonna put forth. A new code item that exempts from ARB approval. A public mural under certain conditions, and one of those conditions being well, a number of conditions, most of which they've already suggested, public involvement. A board representation by at least one member of the village board. But there'd be a final, be some sort of, during the process, there'd be board approval of the final design. And that, I understand why people are, because there's been some situations, I would just say on a practical level.
Yeah.
On a practical level, I think it's gonna be a formality. If there's involvement during the process, it's gonna be a formality and it will be a 10-minute presentation. Here's the thing, what do you all think? And we'll say wonderful things about it and then we'll move on. I doubt there would be a substantive engagement on it. If there is substantive engagement, then something happened very badly during the process whereby the board representation on the process did not communicate back to the board about what was going on. So I think the board representation will take care of it, but I do understand my colleagues' concern about just not having at least a fail-safe that we could say before something goes up in NIAC that the board, who's going to be held responsible if it goes badly, that doesn't have some accountability there. That's all, will be held accountable, doesn't have some responsibility there. Is that acceptable to y'all?
It also protects us, right? So that if someone does come to us and say anything, we have to.
Oh, God, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, we didn't think of it that way. Let's go back to ARB. Let's just kick it to ARB and then we never have to do anything.
That, when we do present it, keep in mind that, we don't want to make 20 changes after.
Yes.
Well, that's
I think
why
that-
I don't think we'll get a much.
process
Yeah.
will save a lot of
Yeah.
time.
I don't think the board is interested in micromanaging.
Yeah.
We just want to get the final result and it's yay or nay, that's all.
And I'm also wondering too, if just as a practical matter, if you guys are showing around these designs. If, do we throw the designs up on our pages and just so that way, by the time it's even coming to that final review, it's just a check mark because everyone has seen these at some
Yeah.
point or another.
And they've gone through the changes.
Yeah,
I think that's-
yeah.
What we want to do as well is on each wall before we design